reduce mathematics anxiety in those children who have math anxiety. Now, one obvious thing would be to train mathematical ability. So in those children who are struggling with math, if we can train their math, that might also lower their mathematics anxiety. Now, that's not always easy, as you know, so perhaps also changing attitudes and beliefs can help. One technique that has been very successful has been expressive writing, so I thought I'm going to talk to you about this. This has been used successfully in college students, but I'm pretty sure you could use it with other children as well. So in that study, they had a group of college students with high math anxiety and a group of college students with low math anxiety. And they were in a classroom, and they knew they had to solve simple arithmetic problems. But before that, they were either given 7 minutes where they could write expressively about the task that they'll have to start in 7 minutes, so the simple arithmetic problems, or they were just 7 minutes in that room and waiting to start. So this was a comparison of a group of students writing about it before starting the arithmetic problems, or just waiting for it. And here's the instructions they gave to the group who did the expressive writing. So please take the next 7 minutes to write as openly as possible about your thoughts and feelings regarding the math problems you're about to perform. I want you to let yourself go and explore your emotions and thoughts. You might relate your current thoughts to the way you felt during other similar situations at school. Please be as open as possible. There will be no identifying information. Nobody can link that writing to you. And then when I knock on the door, please stop writing, cover up the text. So what were the results? So I'll walk you through this. This is slightly complicated. You can see on the y-axis is the performance, and here it's a combination of error rates and reaction times. So higher errors and longer reaction times lead to higher scores. So higher scores here mean lower performance. And what you can see is that when the task on the math task later had low working memory demand, there wasn't really any difference between the group with low math anxiety in grey and the group with high math anxiety in black. And there was also no difference whether they waited or they were doing the expressive writing. So in low working memory situations, that didn't really differ. But in high working memory situations, so when the tasks was more difficult, you can see when they were doing nothing and were just waiting for them before the task, you can see the high math anxious people make many more mistakes and take much longer than the low math anxious people. You can see that here. In contrast, after actually expressive writing, you can see this difference disappears, and the students with high math anxiety now are performing on average much better than after the control. So this suggests that expressive writing can help them to deal with those anxious feelings and to free up more working memory resources in the actual situation. I think that's a technique worth trying. So that leads us to some recommendations. They are basically quoted from that report from the Nuffield Foundation. What's really important is that individuals' math anxiety is really likely to affect their math performance, and that it's important to also reflect for teachers and parents that their own math anxiety might influence the math anxiety of their children or their students. There always is that gendered stereotype about math, and that we need to be careful about this as well. So one recommendation might be that for parents and teachers with high math anxiety, tackling their own math anxiety and their belief systems might actually help students or children. What's really important is that we need to do further research on how math anxiety can be best remediated early. So you might have thought, okay, expressive writing with very young children is very hard. So how can you help those young children to avoid that they're even beginning to develop math anxiety? What's really important is that we actually are aware of both the cognitive and the affective emotional factors behind math learning in school. There's quite a lot of focus on the cognitive factors that are obviously important, but the affective factors, so the emotions related to it, also really affecting performance and attitudes. This is also important for policymakers who often perhaps are not so aware about the emotional blocks that will have massive impact on learning and children's experience in school. And one important thought is that actually probably it's very likely that emotional and cognitive problems will require different interventions, and it's important to be aware of this. And that leads me to the summary. So we've talked about mathematics anxiety. I told you that it's independent of general anxiety and cognitive abilities. That unfortunately it's negatively associated with math achievement. So the higher somebody's math anxiety, the lower their math achievement, in particular in tasks that involve a high working memory load and are difficult. It's already present in 7-year-old children, and it leads to avoidance of math-related tasks and situations, and also to negative attitudes about math. And thus the key thing is it heavily interferes with mathematical learning. And I hope you enjoyed that session. Thank you very much.